Manuel Pardo.
Speak up so everyone can hear you. When the last witness was on, you heard that Ms. Weintraub indicated that you were doing things because I told you to do them. Did I want you to testify today?
No, this is against your objection. But it's my life, not yours.
Did I argue strenuously that I didn't want you to testify?
That's correct.
Why aren't you listening to my advice as your lawyer?
Because if I listen to your advice as my lawyer, I'm going to be sitting down there and the jury's not going to have the opportunity to listen to my side of the story. And if whatever they want to bring up, they could bring up, and I'm quite prepared to face it. But I want them to hear my version of the story.
Why is it so important for you to have these ladies and gentlemen hear your version of this story?
Because what Carlos Rivera stated was self-serving and it's completely wrong. And I want my opportunity to tell my side of the story.
Mr. Pardo, both Mr. Waxman and Ms. Weintraub have tried to make special note that you killed these people because you were a drug dealer and that you were involved in drug trafficking.
Objection, meeting.
You know, I applaud the state attorney's office on the preparation of their case. It was flawless, it was beautiful, with the minor exception of the motive why I killed these people. At no time did anybody indicate that I was a drug dealer. At no time in my life have I been a drug dealer. And that, with that minor exception, they did a great job. The judge has been just fine, the jury's been just fine, and I'm quite content and satisfied that I'm receiving a good trial.
Let me ask you a question, Mr. Pardo. Are you a drug dealer?
No, I'm not a drug dealer. Never have been.
Have you been involved in drug transactions with any of the victims in this case?
Not drug transactions to benefit myself, no.
You admit to killing all of the 9 people that they have set forth in this trial?
Yes, I did. Of course I did.
Mr. Pardo, why did you kill these people? And I don't mean one, I mean each and every one.
I killed each and every one of these individuals because they were drug dealers. They are element, and I object to the word kill these people because when you say kill, you're denoting a human being. And these to me were not human beings. These were people that live off the misery of other people. They're parasites and they're leeches. And they have no right to be alive.
Why? Wait a minute. Don't you... Was it wrong to kill these people?
No, it was not wrong to kill these people. Somebody had to kill these people. When you go to cocktail parties, they say, well, the drug situation in Miami is terrible. Yeah, I wish they would kill the drug dealers, but who does it? Nobody does it. Everybody talks about it. The problems keep going about. The drugs are being sold to our children in school, but who does anything about it? Not the judicial system. If I'm guilty of murder, they're guilty of murder. And the judicial system is guilty of murder, not me.
Well, wait a minute, Mr. Pardo. You were a police officer.
Yes, I was a good police officer.
And do you know what murder is?
Yes, I know what murder is.
Well, what is murder?
It's the unlawful taking of a human life.
Well, why is it not murder when you kill these people?
Because they're not human. They're parasites.
You heard Carlo Rivera testify that you took a Polaroid camera with you when you went to kill these people.
Correct.
And photographed them.
Correct.
But there's been no evidence in this case of what happened to those photographs.
Well,
what happened to those photographs?
The purpose of the photographs is twofold. After I shot the victims, I will photograph them with a Polaroid camera. Because as I shot them, all I'm doing is taking away their physical life. That's not enough. As I the spirit stays within the body 3 to 5 minutes after the person dies. As I photographed them, I would capture their spirit on film. I would then take the film home to my house, and I would burn the picture, the Polaroid. I would set it on I have a special ashtray at home, an alabaster ashtray, that I would burn them. And as I burned them, I dictated and I sent their souls to the eternal fires and damnation of hell for the misery that they caused on the earth while they were alive. That's why they couldn't find the Polaroid pictures.
Why do you hate these people? Why did you hate these people so much?
Because I have a 5-year-old daughter. And my 5-year-old daughter came and one time and told me, she said, Daddy, what's this? Indicating inhaling of cocaine. She had been seeing a program on HBO. This is what they teach. This is what's on TV. Our society glorifies dope dealers in Miami Vice. The good guys are the dope dealers with the fancy houses, the beautiful cars. The cops drive around with the messed up vans. At 5 years old, she's already exposed to this. At 5 years old, when I was in school, we had to say the Pledge of Allegiance. We had to pray. That was mandatory. Nowadays, they don't pray in the classrooms. There's no patriotic fervor anymore. But they allow homosexuals to teach our children. They allow communists to teach our children because the court says that's okay. You know, somebody had to put their foot down. Somebody had to make a message. I did that. Now, the only thing I regret of this court is the way they're trying to twist my philosophy, twist my motives into something indecent, saying that I did this as a ripoff. There's no proof to substantiate that I ever did this as a ripoff, and you know it, and she knows it, and everybody else knows this. And that I do not appreciate.
Well, let me ask you a couple of questions about what you just said. Well, how do you know, where did you ever learn that when someone is killed that their spirit stays in their body for 5 seconds or 5 minutes or...
3 to 5 minutes. I read that in a book.
What book?
A book on Nazism.
What's the name of the book?
I don't recollect. I've read quite a few of these books.
How many books on Nazism have you read?
About 500 or so.
500? Mm-hmm. Why do you read so much on this particular subject?
Well, because there's a lot of parts of that subject that are good. There's a lot of parts that are not good.
Let's talk about the parts that are good.
Well,
what do you
our government is no longer functioning the way it should have functioned. But they take people like Oliver North, somebody that's trying to deter communism from spreading it and infiltrating into this sphere, and they indict him because he's trying to supply arms, which the government refuses to supply to the Contras. Why? Why? The government's not working. They have to answer to two-thirds people in the Congress and two-thirds people in the Senate, which the majority of them communist sympathizers anyhow. Our hands are tied. Vietnam was 13 years. All that was done was to enrich the corporations and the people, as myself, lower class, Latins, blacks, the white trash, as they call it, were the ones that were casualties in that war. None of Nazism advocates.
But you're not a Nazi.
I advocate their beliefs to a certain point.
Are you
to a certain point. No, I'm not a member of any group. I don't need to be in any groups. I have my own individual beliefs. And what Hitler did after World War I, when Nazi Germany, well, no, it wasn't Nazi, it was called Imperial Germany at the time, was totally devastated. While they were still in the field, the Jewish people that were running that country, which they called the November criminals, because they surrendered prematurely, and all these people felt like they had been betrayed. So Hitler, after World War I, he plugged into everybody's prejudices, because we all have them, admit it or not, we all have them. He plugged into the people's prejudices, and he rooted out that the evil, the dregs of society were the Jewish people. He also didn't like blacks, he also didn't like Polacks, he also didn't like communists. There's a lot of people he didn't like, but he zeroed in on the Jewish people. As a result of that, he built up the greatest nation that the world has ever seen. It was a Reich.
But there's a lot of people that got killed because of that belief.
Those were the people that were destroying, that had destroyed. Look how Germany was after the First World War. That had destroyed his country. That's was his belief. And it worked. It succeeded. His downfall was his allies. His downfalls was his allies. And then come over and finish Europe. He would have. We would have been speaking German right now had he succeeded in what he did. And for that, I admire that man. You know, people may say he was this, he would say that, but he was a hero. He was a hero. Because of him, there's 25 million communists today. Period.
There's also 6 million dead and more.
25 million communists I'm talking about. Yeah, they have 6 or 7 million Jews, America. On the contrary, at 15 years of age, high school girls are already taking birth control. They advocate it on TV. It's fine, no problem. Go ahead, screw, it's no problem. And the drugs, that's due to drugs. That's due to drugs. It's been proved. Drug dealers are linked to communists. That's been proved. So who's going to do something? Nobody does nothing. My life is totally insignificant to me, ladies and gentlemen. I don't care if you find me guilty of murder. But I want my side of the story. If you think what I did was murder, find me guilty, I'll go to death row. I don't care. It doesn't bother me. But I want to have the opportunity to express to yourself, to you, for you to understand my motive, what I did. Because I want my daughter to be proud of her father, and my family to be proud of my father. Because the same way that the kamikaze pilots would crash their jets into aircraft carriers to take out the enemy, they had families too, but they were fighting their enemy. And if that's what it is, I advocate their ideology, and I took out 9 of these elements. People that will never sell drugs to any of your children, and sell drugs to anybody else. And this is called absolute justice, which was my mission. And I had a thing called selective targeting. Each and every one of these 9 defendants, just because they weren't arrested, that I mean they were not drug dealers. They were drug dealers. They were drug dealers.
Well, let me ask you something. There was a small amount of drugs found underneath the bed in your house. What about that?
Rolando Garcia lived in my house. Rolando Garcia got kicked out of his house. He had problems with his parents, and he was living in my house. Rolando Garcia is a weak person. He partakes of drugs. Rolando Garcia at no time has ever been a drug dealer. He knows people that are drug dealers. Rolando Garcia doesn't have $2 to fall down dead with.
Do you?
No, I don't either.
Well, what did you
know, you should know what I paid you, so you know I don't have $2 worth of for. I mean, you're a real fancy, great attorney, and the only thing I regret that I haven't been able to recompensate you for what you've done for me, and I know you've done it out of friendship when you represented me in 1980 for the police brutality charges. And I hope someday I'll be able to pay you for what you've done for me. But like I said, I don't agree with you as far as staying down there and keeping quiet and not testifying. Because in the jury, they're going to do whatever they're going to do anyhow, and I don't hold no animosity towards them or anything. But they have to know what I have to say.
Why is it so important they have to know?
Because then my life would be in vain. That's like the kamikaze that crashes his plane into the ocean. He misses the ship. His life was given up for nothing. At least give me the credit that I crashed into the carrier. I took 9 people with me. I took 9 dregs of society. Not honest people, not good working people, not family people, but drug dealers.
You want credit for killing 9 people?
Yes, I want credit for 9. At no time did I say I was not guilty of killing drug dealers. I said I am innocent of murder is what I always told you.
What about Daisy Ricard? Is she a drug dealer?
Yeah, Daisy Ricard was a drug dealer. Daisy Ricard took credit for laundering hundreds of thousands of dollars for the Albero family. She is a drug dealer. She was a drug dealer. Thanks to me, she was a drug dealer.
Albero family?
I don't have any regrets of this. You know, I'm not up here trying to be apologetic. The only regret that I have is that instead of 9, I wish I could have been up here for 99. But at least 9 is a substantial message. Because just a month ago, they burned down crack houses in Detroit. They started doing it down here in Miami. This is the only thing these people understand, is force. Not the system. The system's a joke. This system's a joke. They spit them in and out. They do 6 months in a Federal Country Club resort. That's what it is. They have swimming pools, racket balls. That's jail. What incentive do they have to stop it? They don't have any incentive. They're used to the good money, living good. If I was doing this for profit, would my parents be living in Harlem, in a tenement in New York City? I'm not doing this for profit, so don't insult me. They're insulting my integrity. They're insulting me as a man. And when I was a police officer, I did whatever I had to do to get people convicted. I would sit right up here as a witness, and I would lie when I was a police officer. Yes, I would lie. I would lie because they would do it too. They would lie. So what makes them better than me? They come and lie so they could get out. So I would lie even worse than they did to get them convicted. Somebody had to do something. Because this complacent attitude is what's making the society go downhill. Can't you see that? Can't you see that?
No, I can't see it.
You can't see that? You can read the newspapers. Give me a break. They can see it too.
Mr. Pardo, it has been indicated that Sarah Musa and Farah Quintero were not drug dealers.
God. Sarah Musa, she used to sell cocaine in the hospital where she worked. Because I myself went to Carlos Rivera to their house the night before I killed them. And Carlos Rivera went to collect some money from them. The other one, Farah Musa, Miss Quintero, whatever. I only got to know him that night. Quintero was bragging, was telling him that she didn't have the money to pay him the cocaine right away because she had given it to an individual named Julito who was selling it in Hialeah High to high school students. And she was proud of that. So every single one of these people were in the drug business because they hadn't been caught. Doesn't mean they were in the drug business. And I sure didn't imagine it. I'm not crazy. I'm not stupid. I had it selective targeting. And that's, if they were not drug dealers, they did not get shot. And I got shot them. I put plenty of bullets in them too.
Well, why did you shoot these people so many times? I mean, if someone's dead, they're dead.
Because I wanted to punish them. Very simple. I wanted to punish them.
I mean, Ramon Albero was shot in the face, in the head, in the ears.
That's right.
Why?
So I was punishing her.
Well, how many times do you think you can shoot somebody, Mr. Pardo?
I enjoyed what I was doing, Mr. Gorelnik. I enjoyed shooting them. One time, to me, wasn't that enough what they were doing? Every time I shot them, I thought, well, this is for my child, this is for your child, this is for everybody else's child, and you got off doing this too. They were even bragging who they used to sell drugs to.
Did you ever have any other experiences besides this problem with your daughter regarding drugs when you were a policeman?
When I was a policeman, I responded to a couple of scenes. One was a young lady sitting in a commode. She had just had a miscarriage, a little purple fetus floating in the commode, and she had a hypodermic sticking out of her hand. And another 11-year-old girl overdosed on Quaaludes. But that's okay, because the system put the people who supply them back on the streets. So who's going to do it if I don't do it?
Well, now you heard Carlo Rivera testify that aside from not being able to know why he carries a gun, that he was not a drug dealer. Was that a truthful statement?
Carlo Rivera was a drug dealer. Carlo Rivera was infatuated with the movie Scarface. Carlos Rivera must have watched it 80 times. Carlos Rivera told me, he said he didn't want to beat Tony Montana. He wanted to beat Alejandro Sosa, which was the big drug overlord in Bolivia when they showed it. He thought he had the knowledge to beat this Alejandro Sosa. He says, you remind me more of Tony Montana. And he came and even brought me a Colombian driver's license, the name of Tony Montana. I was humoring Carlos Rivera. I was using Carlos Rivera like you use a whore. Because Carlos Rivera had a lot of connections, stated from his mouth, a Red Bull video. And I cannot open the yellow pages and say, look on the D and look drug dealers, and go knock on their door. I have to know they're drug dealers. And the only way I could do that is by associating with people who know they're drug dealers.
Well, what about Rolando Garcia? Why did you associate with him?
Rolando Garcia is related to my wife, and I've known Rolando Garcia since I've been married, which is 12 years. Rolando Garcia has been lived in my brother-in-law's house, has lived in my house. Rolando Garcia had nowhere to go when we took him in. Rolando Garcia was a runaround boy. He's always been a runaround boy for everybody else, because he must have an IQ too. But he's a good person, you know? He's a good person.